Some are inconsistent, some are designed more for show, and others hide surprising loopholes.
Unbelievable.
In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on the TSA system and revealing how it really works, why it feels so unpredictable, and the secrets they don't want you to know about. Secret number 1. U.S. airports have a sketchy hiring history. After the 9/11 attacks, the TSA had to build an agency from scratch. That meant hiring almost 60,000 screeners in under a year. Speed mattered more than thorough vetting, and in that rush, some major corners got cut. According to a 2004 Government Accountability Office report, thousands of new hires started work before their background checks were complete. And it wasn't just screeners. Baggage handlers, catering crews, and cleaning staff often went through minimal vetting. In 2015, the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General found that 73 aviation workers with possible ties to terrorism had access to secure areas. Their names had simply never been cross-checked against all federal databases. Things are tighter now. Aviation workers must undergo recurring checks every 2 years. But the early history shows why insider threats remain a real concern for airports. Security isn't just about what passengers bring in. It's about who's already behind the scenes. So the people behind the system haven't always been thoroughly vetted. But what about the system itself? That's where travelers start noticing something else. It doesn't always feel the same from one airport to the next. Security isn't as consistent as you'd hope. Ask any frequent flyer and you'll hear the same complaint. Security feels different every time. Shoes on in one airport, off in the next. Laptops out at one checkpoint, left in the bag at another. This variation isn't random. The TSA sets national rules, but local airports interpret them. Factors like staffing, passenger volume, and available equipment shape how strict things get. For example, some checkpoints use advanced scanners that don't require removing small electronics. Others don't have that gear, so the old rules stay in place. According to a 2017 Department of Homeland Security review, inconsistent enforcement is one of the top passenger frustrations. But unpredictability has its value. If the rules are never exactly the same, it's harder for people with bad intentions to plan around them and game the system. For travelers, it explains the constant sense of whiplash at checkpoints. The system isn't uniform. It's a patchwork of local operations working under a national umbrella. What feels like inconsistency is often just discretion, shaped by the realities on the ground. And that patchwork approach shows up most clearly in one place: the liquids rule. The guideline looks simple on paper, but the reality is far less consistent. Secret number 3. The liquids rule isn't consistent. The 3.4-ounce liquids rule has been drilled into travelers since 2006, after authorities disrupted a liquid explosives plot in the UK. But the way it's enforced still varies from airport to airport. Some checkpoints are strict. Every bottle must be inside a quart-sized clear bag. Others wave passengers through, even with oversized toiletries. Part of the inconsistency comes down to the equipment the airport has. In some airports throughout the US and Europe, new CT scanners are being installed that can analyze liquids without you having to remove them from your bag. Some European governments have even teased at plans to phase out the liquids rule at airports with the modern tech in place. In the US, rollout is a little slower, but it's happening. We've covered this rule change and more in our previous video, 10 airport security rules that are changing in 2025. Even sealed water bottles show the inconsistency. At some airports, they're fine. At others, they're confiscated without question. The rule is clear on paper, but flexible in practice. The result is a great example of how airport security operates as a system of moving parts, not a single uniform standard. So the rules about what you can and can't carry aren't always applied evenly. But here's the surprise. One thing security isn't even looking for is the very thing most people worry about. Secret number 4. The TSA isn't looking for drugs. A lot of travelers tense up at security, thinking the TSA is out to bust people for weed. The truth? That's not their mission. TSA officers are focused on aviation security. They're looking for weapons, explosives, and dangerous items that can cause serious damage in the sky. If they discover drugs during a screening, they'll call the police, but they're not actively searching for narcotics. So what about those mystery swabs? If you've ever had your laptop, bag, or hands wiped with a little piece of paper, you've been selected for an explosives screening test. They're not swabbing for drugs. The machine the paper goes into looks for trace particles of TNT and C4. It's a similar deal with the dogs you see patrolling. Most TSA canines are trained to sniff out both drugs and explosives, as well as weapons, illegal animal-based products, and large sums of cash. The TSA even says it directly on its website. TSA security officers do not search for marijuana or other illegal drugs. The agency keeps its mission narrow so resources stay focused on the real aviation threats. Think about it. That little wipe test isn't about your leftover gummy. It's about keeping explosives off the plane. When you get that, the swab feels a little less mysterious and a whole lot more logical. The scanners and swabs handle the science, but the people running them, their authority isn't quite what it looks like. Secret number 5. TSA agents aren't cops. Those blue shirts, shiny badges, and serious faces you see at security, they're meant to project authority. But here's the twist. TSA officers aren't police. They can't arrest you. Their job is to screen passengers and baggage for threats. If you refuse screening or they find something suspicious in your bag, the TSA can stop you from entering the secure side of the airport. But that's as far as their authority goes. If there's a crime, airport police or federal agents need to step in. This distinction is important. It explains why a traveler may see the TSA directing people firmly, but never see them making actual arrests. It also highlights the layered structure of airport security. Screeners detect while local and federal people enforce. So why the police look? Uniforms create consistency, make officers easier to recognize, and set the tone for passengers. It's about presentation, not powers. The key takeaway is that the TSA is the filter, not the enforcer. They can pull you aside or call the cops, but the people making the actual arrests are law enforcement, not the folks running the X-ray machines. So the TSA's authority has its limits. But one place passengers actually do have more control than they realize is at the body scanner. Secret number 6. You can refuse the scanner. Remember when full body scanners first showed up? Travelers called them digital strip searches, and they weren't far off. The early machines used backscatter X-rays that revealed a detailed near-nude outline of passengers. In 2010, privacy concerns rightly blew up. By 2013, Congress forced TSA to retire the machines. Today, scanners only show a generic cartoon figure highlighting areas that may need a closer check. But here's the bit that a lot of people still don't realize. You don't have to use the scanner. You can legally request a pat-down instead, and if you'd rather not be searched in public, you can even ask for a private room. The TSA doesn't openly advertise this option because the scanners are much faster, but the choice is yours. Think about the last time you were standing in the TSA line. Most people probably stepped into the machine without a second thought. But in reality, everyone in that line had a choice. The system actually leaves room for personal preference. So the next time the scanner looms before you, remember, you're not locked in. The system leaves an open door, even if most travelers don't know it. Sometimes it isn't what's hidden that catches the TSA's attention. It's what's bizarre enough to grab people's attention. Secret number 7. Pack something weird. You might go viral. Picture this. You roll up to security with a steampunk gas mask, a firearm hidden inside a raw chicken, or a gun-shaped toilet paper roll. What happens next? You might just end up going viral on the TSA's Instagram. The agency's social media feeds are full of stories about bizarre confiscations. Posts with captions like, "Remember last month when we asked you not to show up to Newark Airport with a bag full of fake IDs? Obviously not, because here we are again."
Bruh.
And, not to point fingers, Alaska, but benzos and hydros are no-nos inside your shampoo bottles.
Wow.
Rack up hundreds of thousands of views. But this isn't just about entertainment. It's about strategy. By sharing real confiscation stories, the TSA teaches the rules in a way travelers actually notice. And it works. Because who doesn't stop scrolling when they see, "We're back with another desperate plea to stop hiding animals in weird places on your body before airport security. Okay, thanks." So yes, if you pack something unusual, you'll probably end up delaying your trip and everyone else in the line. But you might also end up as the day's viral example of what not to do. It's security with a side of spectacle, and for the TSA, that visibility is its own kind of deterrent. And while strange carry-on items might get you internet fame, sometimes it's not your bag that's being tested. It's your story. Secret number 8. Talkative agents could be testing you. Ever had a TSA agent casually make small talk with you? It feels pretty innocent, but sometimes it's actually screening in disguise. Conversational screening is used in airports around the world, and they're successful too. These small chats catch more than 20 times as many liars as looking for nonverbal cues like fidgeting or facial expressions that suggest deception. Instead of a stiff yes or no interrogation, officers ask relaxed, open-ended questions like business or vacation. How long are you staying? What are your plans? The idea is simple. Lies are harder to maintain in a real conversation. For most travelers, it just feels like a friendly chat. But for security, it's another filter. Someone rehearsing a false story might slip up and give themselves away under casual questioning. So the next time a screener gets chatty, remember, they might not just be friendly or bored. It could be part of a subtle system that works in ways scanners and swabs can't. And honestly, wouldn't you rather answer a few easy questions than get pulled aside for a bag search? Small talk at the checkpoint might feel harmless, but that's just one way security keeps tabs on people. And it's not just people under observation. Bags have their own story, and the ending might just surprise you. Secret number 9. Airports might be selling your lost luggage. The bag you accidentally left behind might not be sitting forgotten in a warehouse. After 90 days, unclaimed luggage is considered abandoned property, and at many airports it becomes up for grabs. In the US, the most famous example is the Unclaimed Baggage Center in Scottsboro, Alabama. It processes thousands of items every day, selling them on to bargain-hunting shoppers. In the UK, some airports sell sealed suitcases in blind auctions. Buyers don't even know what's inside until they open them up. It sounds odd, but there is logic behind it. Airlines and airports can't store luggage forever. Selling it clears up space and recoups some of the money spent storing it. So, lost luggage can turn into someone else's bargain find. But not every system is that practical. Some airport rules are designed for something a little different: reassurance. Secret number 10. Security theater is real. Not every airport rule is about catching threats. Some are just about showing that threats can and will be caught. The term security theater was coined by computer security expert Bruce Shiner way back in 2009, and it's just as true today as it was back then. Think of taking your shoes off, tossing a water bottle, or getting a random pat down. All these measures are highly visible. They help passengers feel reassured, even if the actual risk reduction is debatable. A 2011 GAO report found little evidence that visible procedures like SPOT were highly effective, but they actually serve two purposes. One, they deter would-be attackers who see checkpoints as unpredictable. And two, they keep passenger confidence in the system high. Ever notice how much of the checkpoint feels like a performance? That's by design. The stage matters as much as the screening. The big picture is that airport security isn't just about technology and rules. It's also about psychology. The lines, the scanners, the uniformed officers all send a signal. Airport security isn't random. It's a mix of real safety checks, visible routines, and a little bit of theater to keep everyone moving and reassured. Now you know why some rules change, why the uniforms look official, and even what happens to bags that never made it back home. What feels like chaos is actually layered design. You just decoded it. This is Transit Code.